Every marriage begins with friendship. That's why we're all here today. We're here because Michael and Libby and their families are our friends.
One of the things that we have tried to teach him was the importance of making good decisions. And I think he is making the best decision of his life this weekend in marrying Libby.
I said, look, you don't have to marry the first guy you meet. So what does she do? She marries the first guy she met. And we couldn't be happier.
After the first date, he told me that, man, we really had a good time. I'm definitely going to ask her out again. We just had a great time. And one date led to the next. And we had another conversation. And I said, well, how did it go? And he said, best day ever.
What are the odds? Libby moves out to LA to go to graduate school, gets on a dating app, and meets a guy from Shreveport, Louisiana. Unbelievable.
When Libby swiped right and brought Michael home, we knew from that moment he was one of our own. And our wolf pack, it grew. It grew by one. So there we were, the year 2014, meeting this king trying to steal our queen. With humor and wit, he swept us off our feet. As we know, keeping up with Libby can be quite a treat.
From the moment you introduced Libby, it was you two together. And that's something that we've seen lots of people try to join the group, and that's something that's very unique. And very rarely does somebody bring somebody who, the second they show up, we see them as family, and we see them as just as important as the person who we've loved for years.
It's wonderful to see your children pick out wonderful mates, which my children have done. But it's even more wonderful to see your grandchildren pick out wonderful mates, which you have done, which is very exciting.
On April 28th, Michael comes to ask my permission to marry Libby. I say, yes, absolutely, let's go. I'm free next weekend. Let's get this done.
And then I remember when he told me that he was ready to propose to Libby. And at that point, there was no anxiety. There was no indecision. He wasn't asking for advice at that point. He'd already made up his mind. And it's the most decisive that I've ever seen Mike in his entire life. We go from getting a hotel during finals week to being ready to marry the girl that'll spend the rest of his life with.
From the start, we were like, oh, who's this cute boy, this Louisianian that we found at the House of Blues, mind you. It just seems so fitting.
These two are just so freaking compatible and so adorable. Y'all are really meant to be together, and y'all are the most purest breds that I have ever met.
Well, I'd like to propose on a trip. I said, well, this is perfect. We were thinking about doing a family trip, and we haven't done one. We hadn't put anything together, so let's do it. And he said, well, so we decided on the Cayman Islands in June. Well, that's actually where Jenny and Dave got engaged, just a couple of years earlier. I just want to read to you the text exchange This is between Libby and Wendy the day before Michael proposes. And this, I have it verbatim, okay? Okay, so at what point do I just recognize that Michael is dating to date? And if I want to get serious, I'm wasting my time.
most important thing in marriage, I think, in my 52 years with this lady down here, is not to be selfish and always think of the other person. And if you do that, I think things will work out well. And you all seem to be the most unselfish people I've ever met. So God bless you and wonderful future, and have a great 60 years. Thank you.
I don't know how I met Libby. I came into her life, and all I can assume is that it was one of the best days of her life. Speaking about how me and Michael met for the first time, that's also a bit hazy. As it was after Mardi Gras, late night at Grits, and one of the last memories that the three of us have are singing on stage and pink boas around all of us.
Michael introduced me to Libby a few years ago, and we were fast friends. I could tell right away that they were a perfect match. How else could Michael have found an LSU alum in the middle of Los Angeles? Michael, I've always admired your ambition.
We are so proud to call you ours. We cherish your friendship to the moon and the stars, even though our friendships were often nourished in bars. Michael, we are so glad you are part of the pack. We make this promise to you. We will always have your back.
Libby, you look beautiful. Oh, they look great. Oh, and your train and everything looks gorgeous. I don't want to break you. Wow, you look great, sweetie.
Oh my gosh, y'all, I love it.
Friendship is so important that the Roman order, once Cicero said that without friends, no one would choose to live, though he had all other goods. In your relationship, Libby and Michael, you began with friendship. But today, April 21st, 2018, remember that date, Michael. Today, God brings you one step closer. And now we stand with Libby and Michael on the day they intend to form a home of their own. For them, this is a moment of unique importance. So let us support them with our affection, with our friendship, and with our prayer as their brothers and sisters.
Libby,
receive this ring
as
a sign of my love
a sign of my love
and fidelity.
In
the name of the Father,
and
of the Son,
and of the Son,
and of the Holy Spirit.
and of the Holy Spirit.
Michael,
receive this ring
as
a sign of my love
and fidelity.
In the name of the Father,
In the name of the Father,
and of the Son,
and of the Son,
and of the Holy Spirit.
and of the Holy Spirit.
Libby and Michael, one of the best couples I've ever met.
I would like to toast to Libby and Michael in a lifelong happiness. I would like to toast to friends and family. I would like to toast to making good decisions. And I would like to toast to best day evers.
I've got to tell you, these two are so compatible and so perfect for each other. Michael, I couldn't have picked a better son-in-law. I'm so happy to have you in our family. Lib, I'm so proud of you, and you're a wonderful person. And the two of you guys are going to have a wonderful life together.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Michael Phillips.